Okay, so for anyone who is listening,
Yeah.
what would be some of the strategies that you would advise?
How would you start?
Okay, so for instance, a really classic one that people mention would be make it appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to do, like make it really desirable for you to want to do it. Buy yourself a nice new gym set, so that you feel really good in it, or some really comfy shoes so you're not getting blisters. Whatever it is, just make it really attractive to want to do that thing.
So you want to, of course, make it attractive, make your environment, embrace that habit.
Yeah.
They actually had a really interesting experiment, I suppose, where they, during the war in Vietnam, the veterans, a lot of them took drugs because it was available, out there in Vietnam, opium, When they came back to the US, the ones who lived in households where there was a lot of support, PTSD, help and support, families, etc., totally went off the drugs. And those who didn't have that, or who went back into dysfunctional households where they had no support, where no one to talk to, etc., stayed in I don't know about opium, but stayed addicted to drugs.
Okay.
So the impact environment has is huge.
Yes.
Huge.
So curate your environment.
Even to the level of like highly addictive drugs, essentially. So imagine what it can do on non-addictive things.
So curate your environment to facilitate that new habit.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes back to you have curated an environment to you curated a previous environment to support a habit that you're trying to change. So do the same with the new habit that you want to do. Habit stacking is another really good way. Giving that cue, after you have your cup of coffee, you do your meditation.
Like meditation with the LED mask. Did that work really well for you?
Exactly. Not for me, but it worked for you. And so, finding ways that you can stack something on, I think is another really good tip.
Yeah.
The other one is making something, like combining it with something that you find really desirable.
Yeah.
So definitely. I often say to clients, if you want to get moving more, try and incorporate, 3 or 2 10-minute walks in your day. Listen to your favorite podcast, potentially shift happens, whilst you're doing that.
What if they want a milkshake from from McDonald's?
When what?
When walking.
When walking. I mean, if the goal is to start walking, then do that. If you're wanting to do that, ultimately, you want a McFlurry whilst you walk. Well, if the goal is that you want to get walking, sure.
Okay.
If your goal is that you want to lose weight, then no, that's
exactly.
not a very compatible one. That might be a bit of a zero-sum game.
I would also say then on that basis is incorporate flexibility.
Incorporate flexibility and a plan B. What are other ways you can achieve?
Yeah, if you're not walking, what are you doing?
Cycling.
Yeah, but that's,
exactly.
Like me, I'm going to the gym, I can just walk my treadmill.
Exactly.
Just about entering the building.
Or if you don't have time to go to the gym, can you walk to work? So that it's not something that takes you necessarily a significantly amount more time.
I also sometimes think this, I don't know if it works for everyone, but it's also like the idea of your future self, like doing something for your future self. So I had a window today, for example, of going to the gym, but then I had a couple of clients before we had this session, and I was like, do I just forget the gym, go and get ready, and then have a few extra hours to, not that I would spend hours at the gym, but like that extra 45 minutes to take my time. Yeah, I know.
Ollie's there for 3 hours.
Exactly. No, it was like a window of like 45 minutes. Or do I just still do it, get it done, and then carry on with my day as planned? And one of the things I do think is I know it will actually make me feel better. Not going in, not necessarily being on the treadmill. I also had forgotten my AirPods, which was a big decider. Ooh. So I was like, I'm actually going to have to just do this without any...
White knuckle it.
Yeah. And I just thought, no, you know what? I think my client meetings and the rest of my day will actually be nicer if I do it.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought of that.
Yeah.
Because I thought, plus I get to keep it in my diary, so I don't have to remove it.
The main motivator.
It's a little bit like the reward though.
Yeah.
And the thought of no, I will feel better. I know it's not hard
Yeah.
enough that it's going to kill me or exhaust me. It's enough that it will make me feel motivated. And so your future self, like what is the kind of get that dopamine hit from the act of doing it?
But this kind of goes back to the identity piece, because you are someone who feels better when they exercise.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, I will lose weight or I will look better, or it's more, that's just who you are.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I think if I was putting on weight whilst I was doing it, I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like
Fair.
the element of getting fit is helpful as
Yeah.
well. Like otherwise, no. I do think I it's not that I want to necessarily lose weight, but I want to be healthy.
No, I know. But my point being is that the end, you weren't just aiming for like a goal, like this walk is going to lead to this.
No, it was how is it going to benefit another part of my day, which is important to me.
Right. And how's it going to benefit you
Yeah.
and yourself and
Yeah.
how you feel?
Yeah.
I feel like that's identity.
So it's like but it's like you're doing something now that your future self will say thank you.
Yeah.
There's that kind of like.
And did it? Did you get the thank you?
I suppose so, yeah, because I don't regret doing it.
Yeah.
And I think it made my day. I mean, I suppose you never know how it's going to.
Yeah. But that's good. I mean, it's ultimately you will never really go wrong going for a walk. I always say, like, I've very rarely heard of instances where you feel worse after
I
going
suppose
for
I
a
could have
walk.
broken my ankle falling off the treadmill.
Yeah, that might have worked. always looking on the bright side, are you, Ollie?
But I didn't.
Then you would have been consistently
There was a
broken.
guy next to me. I'm not joking. He was holding on to the handles like for dear life. And I peered over. He had 9.9, which is quite high.
Yeah.
And he was holding on like it was from those cartoons where the person's there and then the legs are like spinning and spinning and spinning. And I did think, oh my gosh, he might have to pull the emergency. He made running look so painful that I thought, he might actually.
This might be the only time he does this.
It might be the only time he does this. But congratulations on the willpower, because that was pure willpower.
That was pain.
Pure devotion. That was like really, really impressive.
He's got really strong
Someone told
systems.
him you've got to run X amount a day or a
At
week or
such an
whatever.
incline.
And he was just doing it and it looked really painful.
I think that's also another interesting one, is like try and figure out like what are the things that drive you. I had quite similar to you, but a patient once who loved ticking things off a list. And that's how she built in, because she was like, once in that list.
What's not the word? Not
The reward.
recognition. The reward bit.
Pathway.
I think you have to. I mean, James Clear's quite clear about this, is that you have to look at the reward.
Yeah.
So, because that is what's ultimately going to drive you to do something or not doing something.
Yeah.
So for me, the reward certainly is. I
Yeah.
love the ticking bit. I love the feeling.
But you get to find that. What
Yeah.
is that for you? Is it is it competing against others, competing against yourself?
No, I just
Is
think
it-
it's in my personality. I like getting things done and ticking.
No, but it's finding that for yourself, right?
Absolutely.
It's how you find that intrinsically that it's going to help drive you.
And that's probably why I am a list person.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone who has post-its everywhere, lists everywhere, and that works for me because I like getting things done.
Yeah. You can just tick it off.
Yeah.
And then I think the final piece I'm going to say to this whole like how to is start small.
Yeah.
I think this cannot be overstated, but genuinely, if you are trying to do something absolutely new for the first time, like do not set yourself up for failure by trying to do too much too quickly, and unachievably. And I think this is where sometimes frustration can really occur, especially when someone is paying for a service like a dietitian or a coach.
Oh yeah, they hate it.
Because they're
They don't
like,
feel like they're
"Oh,
advancing.
Exactly. But already sometimes just the fact that you're making that space for bigger things to come later is in itself like that groundwork. And I will say the number of times I've said to people, okay, you want to increase your fiber intake, just add 2 tablespoons of mixed seeds to 1 meal a day. That's it.
Yeah.
And you still can't do that. So then you think, okay, well, forget about cooking whole meals and dishes that have high fiber intake. If you cannot do something as simple as that on a consistent basis, then, and this is the level that you kind of need to start with when you're creating a new habit.
I do agree for that. I do agree with that. And it's a pretty hard sell, to be honest, to keep someone motivated when you're trying to get them to keep at the small incremental changes. But it is important. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming to do everything. Like
Exactly. And I do think that there is a cost to someone not able to keep up with a new habit, because I think when someone can't keep up with a new habit, I feel like that takes a little bit of their self-esteem, because that then reinforces that narrative of I can't do something consistently, I'm a failure, I'm someone who's stuck in this rut. And I think, and so if you're already setting yourself up to failure, it's not actually, you'll come off net zero from where you started. If it doesn't work out, you might actually end up slightly worse position from a mental point of view.
You don't know that from your kind of third party point of view.
No, but I would say for anyone who's thinking of taking on a new habit, the risk of you trying to take on too much too quickly.
Right, yes, that's why break it down.
Break it down, because actually if you're trying to take too big of a bite out of something, and then you can't achieve it for obvious reasons, you're going to make you feel worse about it and reduce your chances of actually trying again at another time or for something different.
Yeah.
So I do think there's actually a cost to the failure
your
piece.
self-esteem, your self-confidence.
Exactly. So yeah.
I agree. I think so very much. That's actually something I do say to people in a way to try and sell the bite-size bit, because I do say that the flip side of taking on too much is that you don't manage it, and then therefore it makes you I think people they hear it but not necessarily buy into the
and then the irony is they usually, because they find it too small or insignificant, they stop doing it, and then you're like, okay, well, you struggled even with that, so
agreed.
You kind of have to prove to yourself that you can do something consistently, even though we all do something consistently all the time. But something positive consistently, to then kind of feed that narrative that it is something that's achievable.
Definitely. Agreed.